today, what we're actually looking at has to do with linear equations. Linear equations. Now, when we talk of a linear equation, it actually has to do with an expression which has an equal sign present in it. And usually, what happens is you have a variable, you have a coefficient, you have a constant. So these four things actually make up a linear equation. You have a coefficient, you have a variable, you have a constant, you have an equal sign. So, for example, we can then say that x equal to 5 is an equation. It's linear in form. Here there is a variable. There is also an equal sign. And there is a constant. So for the reason of having all these things present, we have an equation. Now, the focus of the discussion is actually on how to find the value of a variable in a given linear equation where the variable is only 1. Right, so what we're actually talking about is finding, so the first part has to do with finding the value of a variable in a given equation where the variable is only 1. So in other words, what we are trying to say is finding the value of a missing number, or simply finding the measure of a missing variable of an equation where the variable is only 1, or finding the value of a number in an equation with only one variable. Right, so we'll actually take them a bit and then see how to go through the process as far as finding the missing number is concerned. So for our first example, we have 5x plus 5 equal to 10. 5x plus 5 equal to 10. We have to find the value of the variable x. How do we go about this? Right, so it's so simple. Now the first step to consider is doing what we call grouping of like terms. Alright, so in linear equations, when we refer to or we talk about like terms, we on this basis are looking at grouping all numbers together on one side. That's all constants on one side of the equal sign. So that can be done where all constants are grouped on the right side or left side of the equal sign. And then we also consider grouping terms with variables, in other words, coefficients and variables all together on one other side of the equal sign. So consider the example we have on the board. Let's see how to go about that quickly. All right, so for the reason that we have two constants, 10 is a constant, 5 is also a constant. 10 is on the right side of the equal sign, 5 is on the left side. So in order for 5 to be made to be on the left side, we do what we call balancing of both sides with the number to be transposed. In this case, we are transposing 5. So you introduce 5 to both sides of the linear equation. So you have 5x plus 5. The opposite form or the inverse form of 5 is going to be minus 5 equal to 10 minus 5. So this is what we're actually going to get. Now on the left side of the equation, positive 5, negative 5, both will give us a 0. So that is actually going to give us 5x plus 0 equal to 10 minus 5 is actually giving us 5. Now 5x plus 0 will give us what? 5x equal to 5. Under normal circumstance, you are not supposed to jump steps. So ideally, the appropriate thing to do is, for the reason that 5x is an answer to 5x plus 0, you maintain it as it is. And then here, we had 5 being an answer to the difference of 10 and 5. So that is also repeated in our third step. Now, we want to actually find the value of x. So what do? We introduce 5 being the coefficient to both sides by way of division. So what we simply say is you divide both sides using the factor 5. So this is actually what is going to happen. We'll have 5 dividing both sides. So we have 5 dividing both sides of the equation. Now 5 will divide itself one time, divide this other 5 one time. Here too, 5 will divide itself one time, divide this other 5 one time. Right, so 1 multiplies the variable x, giving us the same variable. Bear in mind that any term multiplied by 1 gives us the same term. So x times 1 will give us x. Out of 1 will give us the same variable. And then 1 out of 1 will give us 1. So the implication then is that the value of the value of x, as was actually required to be found of the equation, as 1. So these are the simple steps to take note of when you have a situation of finding the value of a variable in an equation where the variable is only 1. All right, so in our next session, we are going to look at how to find the value of a variable when the variables are actually 2 in an equation, 1 on both sides of the equal sign. I hope this actually will help you get the concept well understood. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the comment box. If you have any suggestion of topics you want me to also touch on, feel free to type them in the suggestion box. I wish you well in your studies. Remain focused. Don't give up. Math is very, very interesting and simple. Have a nice time.